Hello everyone and welcome back. Today is the start of what should be a 4-week run on my side of things of some particularly incredible and tantalising whiskies, which I've wanted to try. One I had lined up to review for you anyway, one has been sent to me, and 2 other bottles have been lent to me by a good customer of ours at the whisky shop. This is the first one he lent to me. Glenallachie 17-year-old Mizunara and Oloroso maturation. Now, on the front of this it says Mizunara and Oloroso sherry cask finish. I don't believe there's any bourbon stuff in this. According to Glenallachie's website, it is a combination of Oloroso butts and hogsheads, and then there's Mizunara sort of moving around within that too. 50% ABV, no colouring, no filtration. 17 years old. That is some particularly active sherry wood. Mizunara, particularly unusual, means water oak. It's very porous. You really need to have whiskey in it for quite a long time to gain any true sort of flavour profile. And it takes a very long time to grow. I think it's something ridiculous, like it's something remarkable, like 750 to 1,000 years for a Mizunara tree to become of age to sort of cut down and use it for. It's some sort of obscure number like that. There's some tasting notes on the back. I haven't looked at those. There's also some there. It's been in the glass for about an hour, just while I've been walking around and kind of doing stuff in the house. Crazy colour. It's like syrup. You know what? It's a shame thing to admit that in this house, isn't a bottle of Glenallachie. I do own some Macallan bottles, so technically yes, but no standard sort of unpeated Glenallachie. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. I move in and out of sherry quite a lot. At the minute I'm very focused on peat, as that collection over there would dictate. So, and really floral kind of sweet whiskies as well. I'm very contrasting at the minute. Sherry isn't really in my stable right now, but obviously it will be now. So let's duck into this and let's see what it's got to offer on the nose. I will say it's not the loudest whiskey straight away. There's some nice classic sherry notes of like orange and ginger. There's a very dominant smell of like dark chocolate, kind of cocoa nib stuff, the sort of kind of cocoa you'd infuse other things with. There's a smell of like candle wax. Not waxiness, but just candle wax in general. I cannot tell if it's like I can't decide if it's butter or like croissants, but there's like a buttery pastriness to this too. There's even a little bit of tobacco, which I think is where the Mizunara is stepping in a little bit. The Mizunara is an unusual thing. For me, it always tends to deliver very peppery notes, quite spicy notes. I'd never really describe it as something that's... It can provide subtle influence in like a vatting or a blend, but soul maturations tend to be like really kind of white pepper forward and a little bit tobacco-y, and I get that with this. The first aroma when you put your nose in is this kind of dark chocolate and pepper sort of contrast. Quite a lot of ginger actually, like candied ginger. Yeah, chocolate, pepper, orange, buttery pastry stuff. I believe on Glenallachie's website this was retailing for about £270 a bottle. And I've seen a couple of other retailers list it from about $260 to $270. So you know, for a 17-year-old whiskey, it is quite expensive. You're no doubt paying for the Mizunara in this. There is a nice, like, it's stupid to say that whiskey has woody notes to it. Obviously they all do to a degree, but there is like a freshly cut... It smells like being in like a carpenter's shed. You know, it's like kind of freshly chiseled and sawn wood, that kind of warm heat you get from carving wood. The warm heat. There you go. There's the tasting note of the ear for you. And then the pastry thing really steps out. When I tried this, I tried it when I first poured it, and I actually thought there wasn't a lot going on, but actually giving it a little time, more and more is coming out of this. Orange buttery pastry. Let's taste it, leaving you all on suspense for a while. Okay, so if you want to taste Mizunara, you will, and you'll certainly taste it on the finish. It's a relatively dry product. I mean, 17 years in these different barrels, you're going to get inherent dryness, but I wouldn't say it drinks like a 50% whiskey. It drinks a lot more mellow, and obviously there's a lot of active sherry barrels influencing that, so that's probably why. That first kind of rolling of liquid onto my tongue, it's like a pan au chocolat, like fresh out of the microwave, or the oven, I should say. Depends what kind of time of day it is. And that's like scented with like orange oil, and there's a nuttiness to it I can't quite put my fingers on, but we've mentioned croissants, so maybe we'll link that to almond and like frangipan and that kind of thing. As you move it around your palate, the sweetness starts to disperse. And what you do get, and it feels like a straight line of it right down the middle of my tongue, is this white pepper, kind of not sweet smelling tobacco, but that slightly sweeter cigar smoke you can get from things like a Cuban cigar. It has all of that going on. And even as I'm talking to you, this is not a peated whiskey. So if I'm using the word smoke and it's putting you off, it's not peat. So don't be afraid of that. But as I'm talking to you, I can feel that kind of sweet tobacco smell just walking itself all around from the tip of my tongue to the roof of my mouth. It's just doing this and this and this. Mizunara, it's assisting a little bit with the dryness. We've got this very gentle kind of side of the tongue white pepper sensation, which is what I always associate with that kind of oak. And then there's almost like again, it's this nutty thing, like an almond, earthy, a little bit sweet, quite dry. It's got an infinite finish on it. Like I've been talking for what? A minute, 2 minutes, maybe 3? Still there. We'll just wait. No, I will have another sip of it, just see if we can pick out a few more flavours. Okay, second sip. Those orange notes, they come across as slightly more bitter. It's almost like Campari orange, not quite bitter, but still a bit sugary. Yeah, that dark chocolate thing is dominating now. Pastry's gone away. More of the pepper, more of the dryness, more of the tobacco. I do really like this bottle of whiskey. I just think it's very expensive. I don't know how many were made. I don't think it states anywhere. It certainly didn't state it on Glenallachie's own website. Trying to see if there's like a bottling date on the back of this somewhere. I do like it. It's incredible flavour. It's classic Billy Walker. Fucking well-aged whiskey, twinned with some incredible cask influenced flavour in abundance all around. I don't quite know if I'd pay nearly £300 a bottle for it. Let's not call it 300, it's just above 250, but you know, £265 is sort of like the average retail price for this. And it's really good. But I think about other things I could get for it, or numerous other bottles I could get for it, and that does diminish it a little bit. I do think over time, you know, thank you so much to Ray and Raymond who lent me this bottle. I think over time this thing is going to get even more complex and even deeper and richer and more going on. It's a pretty normal score for me. I'm going to give it like an 8. I just think that it's a lot of money for something which is complex and is rich, but I just think you can get better buys, without a doubt, for all of that money on one bottle or numerous bottles for that amount. But yes, thank you very much for lending that to me. A beautifully complex example of Glenallachie, which maybe did a little bit expensive, but an 8 overall. And we've got another particularly wonderful bottle coming up from the same distillery, which is just there. So keep an eye out. But yeah, for me, Glenallachie 17 takes an 8 out of 10. Very tasty, very complex, something that I'm going to spend a lot of time with right now, just in that final glass. But it's quite a lot of money, if I'm being honest. But nonetheless, very flavourful. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.